Hello, this is Yaakov Kronenberg from Jerusalem, and tonight we're going to be doing another class in our series of classes on Taurus ascendant with Venus in the different houses. Tonight we're going to be doing Venus in Taurus. Again, another very interesting combination. Remember, altogether there are 144 possible combinations of ascendant with the ruling planet, right? Each sign, say for example Taurus ascendant, the Venus can be in any one of 12 houses. And so if you have 12 different ascendants, it becomes 12 times 12, 144 combinations. So tonight we're going to be doing the second on the Taurus ascendant. And we're going to talk about, now last week we did Taurus in Aries, where the Taurus was in was actually in detriment, not such a good place, and in the 12th house. So we talked about that. And tonight we're going to talk about where Venus is in honor. Venus is in Taurus itself. So you have what we call in astrology a double Taurus. You got a Taurus rising plus the ruling planet in the same sign. Venus is also in Taurus, so it becomes tremendously Taurian, very Taurian type of a chart, unusually so. And a person, when they have their ruling planet in honor in the first house, you can't really change them. They're because the Venus doesn't give itself up to another planet. In other words, they're not going to give themselves up, their path in life, their destiny, for something else, right? In other words, the most important thing for them is their self and being true to themselves and doing what they think is important for them to do. You find it in, I always call it the guru charts. A lot of people have their ruling planet on the ascendant, they see themselves as gurus. You know, they're going to be personal examples of to the world for what they stand in and believe in, and they're going to teach through their own through they are, more than what they know and what they do, just by their presence. And as I tend to call that the guru type of aspect. But here tonight, so when a person has the ruling planet in honor in the first house, it tends to make them very much a person who follows their own path in life, and they don't. So when Venus is in Venus, it always stays Venus, and when Venus is in Taurus, it always stays Venus in Taurus, because Venus is in the sign of Venus, so it's always going to be Venusian. So a person who has this combination is going to be very much connected with the arts and very much connected with the good life, and the person is going to be tends to be very successful when you have the ruling planet, very very good for financial in the financial area. They can be very a lot of times they'll make a lot of money because Venus Taurus is the sign of money. It's very important to them, money. We said, right, Taurus in the Hakdamot, in the introduction to the classes, we said that the financial security is tremendously important for the Taurian person. And so we see that when you have the double, when you have also Venus on the ascendant and also in Taurus, all the significations of Taurus become magnified maybe by 10 times. You know, the person becomes very, very Taurian by nature. And so they're going to be very concerned with their financial security, and they're going to be very interested in the arts, and there's a tendency towards success when you have Venus in honor there. It's nice to have a planet in honor, because then it works smoothly. The planet works smoothly. Not like, say for example, Venus in Aries. You're fighting to make peace, right? You're doing something that's, a little bit off. In a little bit crude type of way, maybe. But Venus in Taurus is going to be the problem with Venus in Taurus, again, with the Taurus ascendant. It also, just like it magnifies the good significations, it can also tend to magnify some of the more difficult significations. Like there'll be laziness, there'll be thick-headedness, they might be a little tight with their money, things like that. They could hoard their money. They're very concerned with, the worldly pleasures, and things like that. Actually, it's interesting. It wasn't I wouldn't say he's a friend of mine, but I grew up in the same town, the same neighborhood actually, and we had a lot of mutual friends. We had a number of mutual friends. He was a little bit older than me, but he went on to become actually a very famous actor and comedian. His name is Billy Crystal. Right? So he was. He became a comedian, and then he went on to. I think he was in movies. The truth is, I don't think I've ever seen any of his movies. But when I've heard of it, I've seen his horoscope. I haven't seen his movies, but I've seen his horoscope. That shows you, what I'm interested in, more than what I'm not interested in. But in any case, he was actually he's a Taurus rising with Venus in Taurus, and if I can't find this chart. I don't have it I can't find it offhand, but I remember. The little I remember of his chart is that he was a Taurus rising with Venus in Taurus on the ascendant, and also the moon exalted in Taurus on the ascendant. So he became becomes a very fixed sign, a very fixed, very Taurian type of person, and he actually fulfilled, he did a lot of these things. He went on to get involved in the arts, in theater, comedy, the comedy tours. He became successful on television, in the movies, all these things. And so you get a little idea of that from the from his ascendant. He has, right, and the Venus, the ruler of the ascendant, and the moon is coming basically from the third house, right? Taurus, Gemini, Cancer will be on the third house, the house of communication, the house of talking, right? So he was born with the gift to talk, right? To tell jokes, to talk, having that third house strong. Right? Whatever's on your ascendant, it gives you where it's coming from. So since the moon is coming from the third house, it gives him certain type of success through the speech, right? And it's going to be in an artistic way, because it's connected with Venus. Actually, if I remember, his father was in the music business, the music industry, and so he came from an artistic type of family, which you see on the ascendant, and one thing that's exceptional about him that I remember, I don't remember too much about him, but I remember when we were in high school, we lived on a little island, actually. It's a very small island. It's a couple miles long and about a mile wide, and one day he saw this girl at the beach. He said, I'm going to marry her, and that's it. He married her, and I think they've been married, maybe 40 years or something, which is, for Hollywood, that's something that's really phenomenal. But you see, he had that Venus, that tremendously fixed Venus, right? Venus doesn't change Taurus doesn't change their affections easily, right? They're the most stubborn of signs, and so he's got Venus on the ascendant, so love came to him. And he stayed with her for years, and in Hollywood, that's almost unheard of. I think that's the most exceptional thing in his chart, probably. In any case, you can, again, I want to say that most of the charts I take from are either from astrodatabank.com. They have their whole charts, and they even rate the charts there, how accurate they think they are. And then I have another site called Chaldea, KHALDEA.com, where they also have a chart gallery. I take some charts from there. I'm not sure how accurate their charts are, I've seen stuff there that doesn't really jive with what I've seen in other places. I have a feeling that the guy who set it up, he changed some stuff around according to his, thinking. But I could be wrong. In any case, I thank everybody for listening, and good evening.